What's up, everybody? I want to talk about my first ever deep sea fishing trip on a large boat. Now, I've always gone out of San Diego and have done, smaller 6-pack charter boats and stuff like that, which I've always really enjoyed. You get you and, 6 to 10 of your buddies, you can get a smaller boat, now a little bit more private. Where you have your food included, your drinks, beer, rods, reels, everything's included, like an all-inclusive. You pay anywhere, depending on what boat you get, from $8,000 to $12,000 for 2 to 3 day trips, somewhere in that ballpark, right? And now, granted, if you're splitting this with, 6 to 10 dudes, you can see, it comes out to like $2,000 a person, right? So, I've always done this for years. I've been deep sea fishing out of San Diego for, 15 years, if not longer than that. But this is my first time that I've ever done a large boat. And when I say large boat, there was 32 people on this thing. Some things to consider, I guess, with being out on a large boat, right? One of the things I noticed right off the bat is, the trip was about $900. I don't know, $895 for a 2.5 day trip on a large boat. One of the cool things is the trip was sponsored by one of the local fishing tackle stores. So you get on the boat, everybody got like lures, some fishing gadgets, stuff like that, stuff to, check your line and, check your check your drag, weights, hooks, like that's pretty cool. So I thought that was a really neat thing. But one of the first things you do is when you get on the boat, we were hit up for a gas charge. So you get on the boat right away. One of the young deckhands there is like, hey, that'll be $30. $30 for what? That's $30 for gas surcharge, they call it, AKA the hustle money is what I call it. If you're going to charge somebody extra for gas, like, I understand that you don't know what gas prices are going to be in the future when you book these trips, right? But mistake me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen any kind of disclaimer or something like that saying, hey, you're going to have to pay for extra fuel surcharges on this. Hey, diesel doubles, everybody better bring another $50 to $100, well, whatever the price may be. I've seen anywhere these fuel surcharges from, $20 to $70, whatever it is, I think it caught a lot of people by surprise, caught me by surprise. Like I've booked private charter boats 3-4 months in advance, and I've never been hit with a fuel surcharge on the private charter. So that's one thing to think of. Other than being on a boat with 32 people, it was like 31, 32 people. When the captain says we're on fish, I've never seen more pandemonium in my whole life. You're waiting in line to get bait. You're waiting in line to grab your fishing pole. And some of these spots that half the dudes were able to get a line out before the captain said, okay, reel them up, the fish is gone, or there was nothing there. Maybe we caught a Dorado or caught a couple yellow fins or blue fins or whatever, but like it wasn't long. I remember there's a couple times when the captain stopped and said, okay, get a bait, chuck it out there. I waited, I didn't even have time. By the time I grabbed my fishing pole and went to the bait tank, the captain said wind them up. So it's sheer chaos. And granted, you're on a boat with some of these guys. Probably, I would say half the people on our boat have never even fished, like have never done this before. They got Renner rods or whatever, but the other half are pretty experienced. I noticed it got to the point where I was way better off using lures than I was waiting in line at the bait tank to try to get something hooked on. So that was one of my experiences with that. The other thing is, food and beverage are included, but there's kind of like a gray area there to where We ended up paying for that at the end. So when you book this boat, it's going to say, food and beverage included, no alcohol. Alcohol you got to pay extra for, but they do have, like potato chips and sodas and waters and stuff like that. But when you got sodas and waters, you had to let somebody know, and they tallied your name. And when they tallied your name, when it come to checkout day, I had some beers, had some sodas, and my tab with the house was $78. So that's not including tip. So I was a little bit taken back by that they, in a nutshell, they do charge for food and drink. I think if I was to do this trip again, I would probably bring my own water on. Bring a gallon or two just to kind of help if you're trying to be a cheap ass about it, right? Or if you want to go and have a good time, that's fine too. Like, I know what I would expect. I don't know if I would book a large boat again with 31 people. I'm thinking for me would have to be like a 15 max type scenario to go out. Like, I would spend the extra money to go on a boat with 15 max person boat. 31 people was just insane. And it was a large boat. It's an 85-foot boat. I don't know if I want to get into specifics and start hollering about what the boat name was. But the captain, fantastic. I had a great trip. Captain put us on fish. We spent a lot of time trophy hunting. I do think there is a draw straws type of deal where, these guys can go fuck up these small fish whenever they want, these small bluefins, or they know where the fish are. But I think they all do communicate with each other and kind of draw straws and be like, hey, we need somebody to go, 30 miles south of here and see if we can find fish, or 30 miles east, or whatever it is. So I know one of the guys on the boat tracked it. We ended up doing like 500 miles of driving within 2.5 days. So a guy was tracking our ship the whole time. So I don't know if the hustle money comes into play like that. If one of these captains gets hits and say, hey, one of these guys, and I could be dead wrong on this, but I've been on enough of these trips, and I've even been on the small private boats where I could tell you the last private boat I was on, that captain, the whole fleet went north chasing the yellowfin. We were one of the very few boats that were driving around south trying to find something to catch. And that was one of the worst fishing trips I've ever been on. The weather was really bad, but we went south. I think we caught 2 yellowtails on a 3-day trip. And as a matter of fact, the last day we couldn't even fish. It got super stormy out, and we ended up just going back to the port. And the captain didn't even charge us for that last day. I thought that was really cool. But being back to the big boat, I guess one of the things I can expect next time was, be prepared for the gas surcharge, be prepared to pay for food and drink on the boat, be prepared to tip the deckhands. One of the other things I didn't know, they asked us at the end, if we wanted our fish cut. I said sure. I didn't know they charge a cut fee. They wanted like $20 a fish. I noticed that me and my buddy were the only ones that got our fish cut. Everybody else got their fish taken off whole. I'm more than capable of cleaning up my own fish. I thought when they asked us, it was more of like an offer. Hey, like, we got to go through all these fish. You want us to chop it up for you real quick? I said, sure. I had no idea. They didn't say anything about being that they were going to charge you for it or anything. But when I go to pick up my fish, he was like, hey, don't go anywhere. You owe me, $80 for a cut fee. Mate, for what? You never told me there was a cut fee. So I ended up telling the dude, I'm like, hey man, like, I left you a $300 tip. You want to charge me another $80 to chop up some fish? So, and even getting back to the tip part, I guess you're supposed to tip anywhere from 10 to 20%, however you felt on that trip. So 10% for this trip would have been $100. They did a good job after the food and drink and everything. So covering my tab, I tipped to like another $220 on top. My total deal out the door was $300. Plus the $30 hustle fee, or hustle gas fee. So he looked at me, he remembered me for my tip, and he was like, you know what, don't worry about the cut fee. So I did not end up paying a cut fee for my fish, if that makes sense, to make a long story short. But to prepare for a big trip, I can tell you, here's some hints. If you've never done this before, like I said, this is my first time. Pack a suitcase. Don't pack a backpack. Get you a nice suitcase with a roller. Bring a sheet, Bring a blanket, a heavy blanket. It was cold as shit down in that galley. At least the boat that we were on, it was cold. Bring your own pillow. Be comfortable. That would probably be the most important things. Like, I did not bring a blanket that was heavy enough. I ended up sleeping with a bunch of clothes on and had like a thin sheet over the top of me. But next time, sheet, heavy blanket, pillow for sure. I overpacked clothes-wise. I know now I would probably bring like a comfortable pair of pajamas, and then bring, nice, couple pairs of underwear, some clothes that are going to get wet, like, a decent sweatshirt, a windbreaker, like that kind of. If you go fishing a lot, you know what I'm talking about as far as like the fishing gear that you need to wear. I wearing orange slicks with like a windbreaker jacket. That way, like rubber boots. I'm not, that way I can get wet and get blood and shit all over you, and it ain't that big a deal, right? So those were the things that I could prepare for. What's nice about the big ship, they had a hot shower. I thought that was awesome. So, being on that boat, make sure that they have a hot shower. They had 2 showers on this boat, 4 bathrooms. Not once did you ever have to wait for a bathroom or wait to take a shower. I thought that was pretty cool. If you do miss your opportunity for food, like they ain't cooking it, if they call your number when your plate of food's ready and you don't decide to eat it, they'll give it to somebody else. And if you're ass out, you're ass out. I think that's on you, and I'm okay with that. If you're too busy fishing to go in there and eat, then you're too busy fishing to go in there and eat. I know the last day the captain kind of got shitty with a bunch of dudes who were on fish, and it's dinner time, and half the crew's not eating, and there's a lot of food, and the captain said, hey, like, this is last call for dinner. If you ain't coming in, don't ask us to make you food in a couple hours, and I'm okay with that. So I actually let the other guys out there fish, and me and my buddy, we actually like, let's just eat now. Maybe we'll be able to get out there and go fishing. That was the best night of fishing. So, day one, the boat caught minimum fish. I think the first day we were out, we caught maybe 4 or 5 bluefins, couple yellow fins, and like 3 Dorado on one day with 32 people. Second day, we really caught up, and it was last minute. Like I said, I think they know where these fish sit most of the time. We went back to the spot where the rest of the fleet was, got in line. We just sat on top of fish, and everybody crushed it and killed it. It was fun. I ended up using lures, wasn't even using live bait. Doing just big, current baits, current snipers, they call them. Get you a nice current sniper about that big. Drop that sucker down 150, 200 feet, wherever the captain tells you how deep they are, and bam, you're pulling up fish left and right. So that was really cool. But I could tell you I wouldn't do the big boat thing again. Like I said, I think I'll cap it at 15 folks if I had to go out there and do it again. Be prepared for all the extra fees and stuff like that. I was kind of taken back. I know you have to tip the guys, but be prepared for that scenario, I guess. Like I said, I call it the hustle money. That's what me and my buddy, when we were on the boat, we call it the hustle money. Everybody's got to make some. They're kind of always asking for gratuity. It's like they're not shy about asking for money from you. You kind of feel like you're on a boat full of gypsies. Just, hey, can I get some money? Hey, can I get, hey, don't forget to tip me for this, tip me for that. Like, they let you know that you need to tip them, which I'm okay with. We tip the guys on the private boats too. So I'm all about the private boats. That's my jam. I think I'll probably continue doing that. For me, it's worth to spend the extra money where you can go with all-inclusive. I do have my own rods and reels. Even on a private boat, I'll bring my own rods and reels. But for the most part, if you're looking for a great fishing trip, book you, if you can afford it. I would definitely go to small private charter route, which you can book through any of those landings in San Diego, than doing the big boats. But the big boats is cheap. Be prepared for pure chaos. Especially like if you've never done that before, I would almost recommend maybe doing a couple small boats just so you get your bearings on what it's like to be on a big boat with a shit ton of people, with everybody trying to fish on one side of the boat at one time. Remember, if the wind's in your face, you're in the right place. That's what they're gonna, they'll tell you. These boats drift when they sit in. They're drifting like this. Everybody's lined up on this side of the boat while the boat's drifting. So those are some things to think about. So me, I'm going small boat. I'm going private. In worst case, if I'm going on a big boat, I'm 15 people max. I'll pay the extra $1,000, because that's pretty much what they charge. They just double it so they can cover the other half, pretty much you're buying like 2 seats, right? If that makes sense. So that's me. That's how I'm gonna do it. And let me know what you think. Let me know what your experience is on the boat. Like I said, I've been fishing out of San Diego for a long time. Love deep sea fishing. The fish is fantastic. I usually just take a day. Book yourself a 3/4 a day or 1 day trip, man. Go fuck up a bunch of rockfish. Rockfish is fantastic. Go take yourself a 2-day. Go catch some yellowfin, some yellowtails, some bluefin, some dorados, hopefully. But rock fishing is fun. I love rock fishing. People make fun of it, but the tuna's good. I like the tuna. For me, 60 pounds of tuna last year, a whole. Damn, you think about it. I don't know what these guys do. You catch yourself 150-pound tuna, like, dude, that's a lot of meat. You're taking 100 pounds of tuna meat home. Shit, you can eat tuna damn near every day for a whole year if you wanted to, but it's good stuff. Try to give some, catch some, give some to your friends. But let me know what you think about the big boat. Those are my experiences with the big boat. Like I said, first time, probably last time. But y'all take care. Let me know what you think.